Hi guys! I'll just wait for some people to hop on here. So, I had a sister ask me to talk about like non-learning verbal disabilities again. I did do a live on this before, but I feel like it's an important topic though regardless. So that's why I was more than happy to do one again about non-learning verbal disabilities, because I feel like this is such a huge and important topic. I think that especially for people who don't have a non-learning verbal disability goes through, or a disability in general, regardless of what it is. And basically, there's so much to it. There's different aspects, like, the learning aspect, what you go through, how you learn. And one thing that's really important is there's different spectrums, I believe, of non-learning verbal disabilities that, and everybody learns a different way, regardless if you have a disability or not, And so my best advice, especially if you have a kid or, regardless of the circumstances, or if you have one, you're not alone in it. And I want you to know, like, you're definitely not alone, if you have a non-learning verbal disability. And there's positives, when people are like, what? I struggle, to understand some things. And that's fine. Because even if someone doesn't have a disability, a non-learning verbal disability or anything like that, everybody learns a different way. Some people don't get things. It's just some take a little bit more time. Whether you need more time on testing, whether, you have to ask a little bit more questions to understand, I guess, would be the best way to put it. But yeah, thank you also for my sister who asked me to do this video. So I want a lot of people to understand that it's a struggle, regardless, and it makes us a whole bunch stronger. I'm a firm believer in that. And on top of that, I want you to know, like, learn how you learn the best way possible. And don't be ashamed of it, Don't be afraid to tell people, hey, I don't understand what you're saying. And I feel like that's what people are just so worried about, is like people are like going to judge you for that. And there's no reason to judge, because nobody, regardless of any situation, learns the same, as I've stated before. And then on top of that, like, it just makes us unique and special. And when you grasp the way to learn everything, you're going to get a whole lot easier. And for my parents on here who have a kid with non-learning verbal disabilities, your kid. Like, my mom fought super hard for me, especially when it came to schooling. Like, my mom, she literally had, I can't even tell you how many meetings my mom had. And then after, I made the, how to go to learning support and stuff like that. Like, I barely made the requirements for that. And again, there's different spectrums of it, but when the parent, your kid, and you don't know exactly how they're struggling with it, but you do know that they're struggling in whatever area they're struggling in. Typically for Turners, it's more of the math spectrum. And, when you're driving a car, we struggle a little bit. Basically, an easier way to describe this for you guys is like distance. So you misjudge curves or the distance from one car to another. I failed my driver's test the first time, and I'm not afraid to admit that. And so I'm not ashamed of it. I mean, not everybody passes on the first time, even if they have a disability or not. And then on top of that, like, once you'll blossom so far in life that it's unreal, and you won't even notice a difference. Like, for me, sometimes I'll take a moment to absorb what somebody says, and I'll be like, try to think of other sides to it. Like, why do you say that? Why do you mean that? And I'm still learning myself. I'm growing a lot this year, especially this year, to be honest with you guys, that I'm able to understand now what I don't understand. And I'm not afraid to admit that. When I used to get just so frustrated, and then I would just, like, explode because I wouldn't understand, and it would be so frustrating to me. Like, why am I not understanding this? And my mom, and there's different parts of aspects of life, too, that you have to understand, from budgeting money to moving in to getting dressed to care to knowing what you need to do to be able to function properly, And everybody has to learn this. I mean, you have to teach every kid how to potty train. You have to teach every person how to brush their teeth, how to put clothes on, Some people take a little bit more time, and that is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing to be ashamed of. You know, some people put on shirts backwards. That's fine. Or inside out. You know, I'm not afraid to admit, that everybody has to go through that. So I think it's also how you think about it and how often that they go that. Right, and then there's social skills, and everyone has to learn social skills. And as I said, there's so many different aspects of this non-learning verbal disabilities that you can go for. For me, I used to not be able to communicate. Basically, I mean, I could tell you I was mad or sad, but it was the why question to why. And then me being able to express it without crying and not being able to talk, or me just getting mad and freaking out and walking away. I mean, in this year, I have grown a lot, and I'll talk about a lot more than I've ever been able to in my whole life, and I'm thankful for that and everything, so it's just basically developing, But if you're having a hard time communicating, just sit back and think what they mean. Ask them why they're asking you like that, or if you personally feel like somebody's acting distant to you and you just don't understand, maybe why. Ask them, because maybe they don't even realize they're doing that. Instead, I would just used to be like, just go in like a shell is the best way I could explain it. And then I would just be like, and just be awkward like that. But now I'm not afraid to be like, hey, you're acting a little different. What did I do? Or what is going on, And then it's a completely different thing, and it may not even pertain to you. And so that's what's amazing about growing and prospering. And then school, I always did good in school. I really didn't do bad ever in school. I mean, of course I got held back, so I guess I did bad, that one time. But I'm not afraid to admit that. I went to T1. And, T1 was a decent experience. Not the best teacher, but definitely not a bad, it taught me. And then my mom fought for me to have my learning plan. They wouldn't do time tests for me. I got pulled into a different classroom where it was super quiet, no distractions, just me, the paper, and one other teacher. That did a lot, or, another thing for a while, they would read me the questions, until comprehension, because I struggled with comprehension though. And that's not a bad thing, because comprehension is comprehension. That's how I think about it. But I don't think of it as negatives. I just think about it, okay, let me work on this. But now when I start to ask more questions, I grow in that area of comprehension. Okay, now I understand, because now you said this, which led to that, which brings me to the now, Or you take things a different way. Not everybody, even if they have a disability or not, takes things different ways, regardless, because of your perception. And so it goes to perception then, on how you take things. And that can go with your mood too. For, you look at the situation as half full or half empty. I like to look at it as half full. Okay, well, this is going on. Well, yeah, it is going on, but there's always a positive. What am I supposed to be learning from this? And I feel like that's so huge. And I do really good if I get a book and teach myself. I can do that really well. You have to know yourself in order to know where you have to work on. And then, or I need to be hands-on learning. So for example, I can't be doing the I have to do it by my hands-on. But then when I do that though, I'll be Gucci. I'll be able to learn everything super quick. And I'm sorry, I wouldn't want to make this live a little bit longer, but I have to go into work here in a second. But always remember that it's how you have to know yourself. It boils down to you have to know yourself. And honestly, you have to ask questions. And it boils down to asking questions, because there's not one person the same that's going to understand. You can have a certain understanding for it, but you're not the person that said whatever said. So you don't necessarily always get their side, right away. So always ask questions. And never be ashamed of that. But anyway, I gotta get going here. I hope you guys have a good day. And I also want to thank you guys so much for all your support I want to thank you guys so much for your guys' support for my pages. We're at over 1,000 and 60 followers on Cape Returners, guys. Our family is growing, and I love it. And so, oh, I thought I forgot my badge for a minute. As I said, I can be forgetful at times. But yeah. And then my YouTube page has over 80 people. Keep liking, sharing Cape Returners Facebook page and YouTube videos. Subscribe to the YouTube videos. I try to post videos as much as I can to help you guys. And I can't thank you for so much for your support. Let's keep sharing and let's keep building our Cape Returner family. I love you all so much. I hope you have a good day.